baking recipe, every ingredient used has its purpose. How about we explore the science and arts involved in baking a vanilla cake? And I promise it's going to be really exciting.
Today we are making a vanilla cake. For a vanilla cake, we need baking flour, of course. We need sugar. We need baking powder. We need vanilla essence. We need some milk there. For a good cake, you have to measure all your ingredients. So we are starting with measuring margarine. We are producing a kg of vanilla cake.
A kg.
We need the grams so that we know how many kgs of cake we are producing. Next, we are measuring our sugar. For sugar, we need 1.5 cups of sugar. You can as well reduce your sugar depending on how you want it. You can put 1 cup, you can put 1.25, depending on. Next, we'll be measuring our flour. Measuring cups, they cost 200 shillings.
So it can be really affordable for someone who really has passion for this.
Yeah. Okay. Onto the baking powder first. Before, yes.
Okay.
We are putting our baking powder into the flour.
Yes. We're also measuring it. Yeah.
So I need 1.5 teaspoons for my baking powder. It also has to be leveled.
Just the way we did with the sugar and the flour.
Yes.
What happens when you put a lot of baking powder? What does that do to the cake?
Your cake will sink.
Okay. So again, the correct amount.
Yes. We are going to the eggs next. We need 4 eggs for this cake. Eggs play a big role in cake making since they also contribute to the grams of the cake.
Okay.
But you can also produce eggless cakes. We also have eggless cakes, which you will substitute your eggs with something else.
Which is this something else?
There are egg substitutes in baking shops, which you can use. There are processes when baking. You just don't put everything together. We have to go step by step. We have to cream sugar and margarine first, then we come with our eggs, then finally we fold in our flour. After this, we are proceeding with the margarine and sugar.
Where we started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we are done with measuring our ingredients. Yes. We're going to cream sugar and margarine. This is called creaming.
What's that you're using for that purpose?
This is a hand mixer, available in baking shops as well.
Okay. Show us how you're doing that.
Okay. For mixing takes roughly 20 to 25 minutes.
20 to 25 minutes.
Yes.
Of just mixing.
Yes.
And also
that's called creaming.
Not mixing, but creaming.
For this process, we are creaming in. At the same time, we are incorporating air into our mixture. So for you to know it's well done, it has to be whitish and fluffy. Next, we are going to our eggs.
We'll be adding with the eggs and the essence.
Yes, we'll be adding one at a time as we cream it. Next, we are going in with the flour. Yes.
Which, remember, the flour has the baking powder mixed as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll be alternating our flour and milk. For milk, we're using a half cup.
A half cup.
Yes.
So again, the measuring still comes into play.
Yes.
So you alternate, when you say you alternate the flour and the milk, what does that mean? Liquid by liquid?
Yes. Flour first, then some milk. You can see it's a half cup of milk. Then you proceed with the mixing.
The process again of mixing.
Yes. So next we are going to put our cake into the containers. I bake my cake, a kg of cake, I bake it in 2 containers. This is a pastry brush.
You have to have it.
Yes, you can improvise.
And use your hand because you're just trying to cover. It's like coats, cover the, your what you're using to put in the cake.
Okay, so I'm going to grease my tins.
So what you're doing is
I'm greasing
the tin.
Yes.
What is the purpose of that? We want the cake to not stick or what?
Yes.
So again, the margarine is still what we are using.
Yes.
What you had the first time.
Yeah.
And you grease the entire tin.
Yes.
Chini, kando,
yeah.
Kila mahali.
Kila mahali.
Okay. So if you don't grease the side part, you have like a cake imekwama kule kando.
Yes.
And also the other tin, because you're saying for you use 2 tins. Now for your tin is steel. This is steel. Can you use any other alternative, or it just has to be steel?
I will recommend steel because some other materials will make your cake to burn.
To burn?
Yes.
Which materials are there so that you can know what to avoid when you want to start baking?
Light materials. There are many replicas of steel in the market today. So once you use a lighter version of it, your cake will burn instead of cooking.
Before the mixture into the tin. Yeah, we can just clearly see that actually it's the speed, the way we're saying you need it to be not so thick, and not so thin. Just there.
Yes. After this, you have to preheat your oven for 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Before our cakes go in. Yes. And the cakes take 30 minutes to cook.
30 minutes to cook.
Yes.
So it has to be exactly preheated for 5 minutes and allow them to cook for precisely 30 minutes.
Yes. 30 minutes, that's if you're baking them like I am in 2 different containers. But if you're putting it in one container, that will take 45 minutes.
After preheating the oven at 180 degrees for 5 minutes, you let the cake cook for 30 minutes if you are using 2 tins and 45 minutes if the tin is 1, and this is specifically for a 1 kg cake. The minutes specified are to ensure that the cake cooks well.
So our cake is ready. Now we're making the buttercream, which is part of our decorating process.
So what if you put an excess of that?
You will be over-flavoring
your cake.
Yes.
All right.
You can also add color if you want at this point. Yes.
So when you say color, what are we talking about? What type of color, or what makes color? Is it a food color? Is one more thing, is it a food color? Or when you say color, what are you talking about?
We are talking about food color.
Food color.
Yes. Powdered food color will work.
Now with the icing, yes. And that is also done evenly. Kila mahali.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Now it makes sense. So that you can at least go around and you get to spread the butter evenly. Kila
Yes.
mahali.
Yeah.
So repeat the same process on top of the other second cake.
Yes. So for me, this is my first coat. I do 3 coats, 3 or 2 coats on a cake, depending. Yes. So I'll do the first coat, then put my cake in the freezer for about 5 minutes. Then I proceed with the second coat.
Again for about 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then proceed with the third coat for about 5 minutes.
Yes.
So then why are you doing all the the 3 coats? Why is it important for that? Because for me personally, I would see and I'd be like, okay, see kotu sawa.
No. For our first process, we are doing something called crumb coating. We are ensuring we don't get crumbs onto our third coat. Yes.
So the
So
first
this is
coat
very important.
for that first coat.
Yeah. And this is buttercream. We've just added color to our buttercream. So we're going to use it to do the final decorating of the cake.
So ni ile buttercream ile tu ya kawaida ni
Ile
but
tu
the
ya
difference
kawaida.
ni food color.
Food color, yes.
Okay, which means you can use any
Yeah, you can use any blue preference.
preference ni
Yes.
yako. So how do you go about this one?
So with me, I have a piping bag. This is a nozzle at the tip. It's used to achieve the different designs in terms of decorating. There are different types of nozzles. Yes.
So the different types are used to achieve different designs, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, and also this is part of what you said, the startup decorating tools that one might need. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and show us. So unafaa kuchukua bit by bit.
Yes. I'm doing rosettes today. These are.
Hey, you're getting careful with it. You have to.
You have to be careful. Before I produce a cake, we have to be clear on the design to avoid confusion. So we have to agree on the design, the size of the cake before I proceed.
So design is key, is part of the main agreement that you make with the client.
It is.
Okay. So now this is the final product, ready to be eaten.
Yes.
And we'll definitely eat it. After all, baking is just a profession like any other, with a lot of flexibility and creativity. Dorina Range for GMK.